Ohio Uniform Incident Report at the Van Wert County Sheriff's Office. This report was made December 18th, 2017. The incident took place at Van Wert County Hospital, 1250 South Washington Street, Van Wert, Ohio, 45891. Involving myself, the victim, Ethan V. Moore, and an officer of the Van Wert County Sheriff's Department, in which I still feel I was wrongfully treated and discriminated against in the handling of such things. Witnessed by an Officer Ryan Barnes, an old friend of mine that I grew up with, who had happened to be working at the Sheriff's Department that day when I was transported from a jail being held on a charge I don't feel I was guilty of disorderly conduct that was later dismissed, in which I was transported to the Van Wert County Hospital for evaluation against my will. Shot up with a mysterious medication that no one told me what it was, and then I was handcuffed to the bed, and I began spitting saliva out of my mouth. I felt like something was stuck in my throat, and I was having a reaction to the medication, I believe, whatever they had given to me. When the officer believed I was spitting at him and chose to put me into a chokehold while I was handcuffed to a bed, I feel this was handled very, very unprofessionally and even criminally. I later asked for $1 million to settle out of court with the officers at the Van Wert County Sheriff's Department for the wrongful treatment that I received of excessive force by the Van Wert County Sheriff's Department, and they said there was nothing they could do and to take it to the county prosecutor. I took it to Eva Yarger, the Van Wert County prosecutor at the time, who had called the police on me for trying to talk to her, apparently, and claimed that my complaint was invalid because I was considered a public health threat. That's all that she would say. A public health threat in a private hospital room, strapped to a bed, being wrongfully treated for a crime I did not commit. And I was deemed unworthy of any compensation for the violence received by the officer. This documents the report that I made. After being transferred a couple times within the hospital, Ethan and I was able to talk. Ethan said back on November 18th he was transferred to from the Van Wert County Jail to the Van Wert County Hospital for the purposes of being evaluated. While at the hospital, Ethan said he was choked by one of the officers watching him. Ethan knew one of the two officers watching him to be Deputy Ryan Barnes. Ethan did not know the other officer's name. Ethan described the officer as being a pale white male wearing a deputy's uniform. The unknown officer was further described as being around 6 feet tall and 250 pounds, wearing a gray or blue stocking hat. I don't remember exactly where that came into mind, as far as the stocking hat. I don't remember saying that much, but perhaps. Ethan says one that had choked him was one he did not know. Ethan said the officer placed both hands around his neck and pushed on his throat with his thumbs. Ethan said all this happened while in an observation room while lying on a hospital bed. I was handcuffed to the bed. When asked why he felt the officer may have done this, Ethan told me he had something in his throat and the officer may have thought he was going to spit on him. Ethan said he did not believe Deputy Barnes had anything to do with him being choked, but felt that he would have witnessed the event. Other than the two officers in the room, Ethan felt that there was no other witness as the curtain was closed. Ethan said he was able to breathe during the choking and did not suffer any physical injury. I suffered psychological injury, though, and emotional, and perhaps even spiritual. And perhaps I did suffer a physical injury as well. No use of force forms were found outlining that force was used on Ethan the evening of November 19th. See, they said they didn't use any force when they should have documented the force they used. He was told to complete a use of force form, Deputy Roem, which I believe was the deputy that choked me. It says 10 seconds. I believe it lasted for 40 seconds. Received this report from the Fenwick County Sheriff's Department. I was civil in asking for the report and treated fairly this time, despite much unfairness over the years. It is my finding that although Ethan said he was not spitting, in fact he was. So just because you say I was, either way, I don't believe it's okay just to choke. So he had the ability to stay away from me. He wasn't supposed to be in my room in the first place as I was being treated medically. So I do not believe officers should have medical authority most of the time, since they have a separate type of jurisdiction in their career options in their employment, and should not be having anything to do with someone's medical treatment or history, especially if they do not wish for them to be involved, as your civil rights as an American especially. And then I was taken to a mental health institution after that by those exact same officers involved in the choking. Me, Ethan Moore, a very real person. I can at least say I was a person, although that term defined by law these days and over the years, as far as being a person, means you're no more than basically a bank account or a number for somebody to see as property or do whatever they see fit, instead of dignity as a life form. I mean, you give Sophia the robot civil rights over there in Saudi Arabia, but you allowed this to happen to me and others like me, just simply based on that term person and who defines what a human being is or a life is. While you admit that even your plants, trees are life forms according to science, but you discriminate against another fellow human being based on their appearance. Article 14 of the Constitution, 3/5 of a man, if you were enslaved or even of dark skin, still yet to be really changed, as if that should have ever been an American Constitution in the first place, based on everything America said she stood for, at least. And Israel used to be just like you, and should have been, and in many ways still is, and I'm not sure that's a good thing entirely these days. Guess we'll see. But yeah, how's it feel to be incompetent, or be labeled that, as I hereby label individuals and corporate entities as linked to this police report documenting such as an incompetent abuse and use of power in an unjustified manner. It's been going on for quite a while. While you swear on that holy Bible to uphold it, and that it is true, every American president has done such, and you do things like this, and you knew that Eve's body existed on Earth and found it to be, or at least someone has claimed it to be, Eve, through all the genetic testing and eugenics research of even Hitler back in the day. Yet you do something like this when you, like I said, you could have walked away. You could have walked out of the room and got help. Maybe I was having a medical reaction to the medication. Dear Officer Rome. Oh, Rome, by the way. So much to say about you. And I was strapped to a bed after being yelled at and belittled by you. And you couldn't even say sorry. That would have been maybe some restitution, perhaps would have outweighed any monetary amount. Not to mention never have doing that in the first place. More to follow. In Jesus' name, amen.